go. What's up, guys? We are fishing. It's wintertime, it's cold, and we're at world famous Bullard's Bar up here in Northern California, and we're testing out the new Z-Man TRDs, a small profile little tube bait, and we're rigging that up with a little Ned head right here. And guys, we're gonna go out and we're gonna show you how to keep it simple. In the wintertime, it's cold and stuff. You don't want to be doing a lot of active things and everything. You want to be kind of bundled up and really work slow and work out that finesse bite. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna skip around. We're gonna fish some of this water coming in, dragging these little baits out, but then also hopping around these main lake points and really picking apart what you're trying to do with this bait and how you can catch some fish through the winter and then moving into these spring bite as well. Let's break this down, starting with rig. All right, guys, the setup with this one is really simple. That's what makes it such an easy bait to use. Take out the little TRD and either, these were created actually to be thrown with the Ned head. That's why they got the little flat top to them. All you do is just thread that hook right on there and you're good to go. Today, I've also been throwing it just on a normal little ball head weight. Because I don't want you guys to overthink this. All you really need is a little weight up top, thread this bait all the way through, slide it up on there. And what I'll do, see how that doesn't fit completely well, if that hook's a little big, what I'll do is I'll cut a little seam in that bait so that hook fits flush all the way up there. You can't rip it because this elastic's so good. So you just gotta cut it with some scissors. And I go with either about a 3/16 to a 1/4 ounce weight. I want that bait really kind of slowly falling down to the bottom, and then as I'm working, I want that natural little flutter kind of fall as it's scurrying along down there and everything to entice these fish. There we go, we're hooked up. We just got one. I'm trying to film. Oh, there he comes. I'm trying to film these, this setup of this bait. I like it. I'm trying to film the setup of this bait right now. We're talking about the setups, what little secrets to do. And I got a line hanging over the side because I always want to have a line in the water because things like this can happen. And like my boy D Almighty would say, see you later, dude. Now, as I was saying, my little secret, and this is why that fish was on there for a little while. Anytime I'm using tubes, I love to squirt a little bit of the scent up in the tube. Okay, so once you have that rigged, you just put this, the opening of this scent right up to it and just squirt it in there. And if it's overflowing, no big deal. You want that all there. So that way, as you're slowly pulling that along there, it's releasing scent. And anytime the fish go to bite it, they're gonna hold on to it that much longer. And that's just that much more important, especially these colder months where these fish just aren't completely as aggressive. You wanna give yourself every advantage possible. Got it? There we go. That fish was on there for a minute. I was like, why does it feel weird? And why is my line over there? I cast it over on this side. But that's what using this tube's all about. You gotta fish it real slow. And he choked that. You guys see that tube way down there? When they bite it like that, that means they want that bait. And that's why we put that scent up in there. We stick that little scent up in there, squeeze it in there and fill it up with that, because when they bite this or they're tracking it, sometimes they don't always eat it right away, but when they do, they're really gonna taste that natural taste that they want, and they're really gonna hold on to that for longer. All right, retrieval, guys. We're talking about retrieving this thing. We're gonna make long casts. We'll talk about kind of the locations a little bit more in a minute, but we're gonna make the long cast, let that bait sink all the way to the bottom, and I'm gonna either do 1 or 2 retrieves on this thing. Once it hits the bottom, I'm either gonna just, do little hops with it so that it's kind of hopping around and darting around down there, or I'm gonna put my rod tip down and make little drags. Let that bait sink all the way to the bottom, then drag it, 2, 3, 4 feet at a time, then just let it sit. Reel on that slack, and I wanna be real slow with this. And anytime I lose contact with the bottom, I wanna let that bait sink all the way back to the bottom. As this bait's moving along down there, it's just mimicking a little tiny, like a bluegill, a little crawdad, just a nice small profile that represents an easy meal to these fish. And if we feel any bites or anything like that, all we wanna do, because we have that exposed thin wire hook, all we're gonna do is reel down on that fish, and as we reel, once we feel the weight of that fish, we're gonna start lifting up. There we go, right off the little point. Look at these fish. This is a cold water bass right here too. Look how white this guy is. White fish, because it is a cold fish. When these fish are real light color like that, that means they're down there deep. That means they're not spending much time shallow. And that's why we're dragging around, really moving this bait slow, because when they're this cold, they are lethargic, they're slow moving. So you've got to give them a little bit more patience to come up and eat that meal. Because right now they're basically sitting there going, all right, I'm absolutely freezing, I'm absolutely freezing. And they see something coming by and they're like, all right, is it worth me swimming around to go chase that thing down? If you can keep that bait moving nice and slow, it is worth it. And he'll come take a little nibble. So when we talk about where to throw this bait, when throwing a tube, you really got to move slow. You're hopping this thing, you're dragging it, but it's a slow presentation. So you really want to find those high probability areas. Where are the best chances of fish being, right? And that's the first and most obvious spot on the lake is main lake points. And what that means, a lot of people don't even understand what that necessarily means. Main lake point, if you were to look bird's eye view straight down in the lake and you were to circle the biggest points, the 5, 10 biggest points in that entire lake, those are the main lake points. Those are the ones that you should start on. Run to those. If you don't know where the fish are, don't know what they're doing, run to those first. Start shallow and just drag right down one side. And then once it gets into 30, 40 feet, then come over it and then drag up the other side and kind of come up and down with, I would experiment within 15 to 30 foot range in the wintertime, these colder months. And then as it gets a little bit warmer and stuff, as we go into spring, you can go right up into that shallow, into the 1 foot to 30 foot range. Next, after the points, I call them guts, creek channels. When those creeks carve out those little channels and stuff, those bass love using those as roadways. As the water starts to heat up throughout the into the spring, these fish are going to use those little roadways and they're going to slowly move back and look for places to spawn. And so if you follow those little creek channels and stuff, just dragging this tube along, you're going to run into some of these fish. Every fisherman loves to have confidence baits. If you're going to be consistent, you have to have 3 or 4 baits that you know you have in your box that if all else fails, you tie that on, slow down, and you're going to get some fish. Now, this little Z-Man TRD Tubez is no exception. Tubes flat out work. They've worked for since the beginning of fishing. I don't know when tubes were actually created to begin with, but they have always worked. And Z-Man has really, they've added their ElasTech technology to that, so now this is even tougher. I love the small profile, and if you guys get out there, use this, you're gonna get bit. Slow it down and fish your confidence areas, and you're gonna put some fish in the boat and have some fun. Hope this bait helps. Hope you guys have a lot of fun. Make sure you hashtag Z-Man and LTV in these videos so we can see your catches and sharing on your adventures. Once again, guys, I'm Travis with Lucky Tackle Box. If you enjoyed the video, hit that thumbs up button, leave a comment. I'll make sure to comment back on all those, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace.